with outbreaks of rain. Very mild with temperatures well above the average. It'll also be breezy towards the coasts in the southeast, but light winds further inland. Often cloudy with outbreaks of rain in places. There will also be a lot of cloud and some hill fog, across much of Wales through this evening. Patchy rain and drizzle too. Large parts of the Midlands also on the cloudy side, though fairly dry. However, a few outbreaks of rain and drizzle are still possible. Temperatures around 8 degrees Celsius. Looking at the north of England, we will see increasing amounts of cloud with outbreaks of rain and drizzle moving northwards. Fairly chilly evening for many, with temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius for most. Scotland will be largely dry with some clear spells, but perhaps a few showers in the north and west too. Thicker cloud and rain arriving in the far south later. And then finally looking at Northern Ireland this evening, largely cloudy with a little rain and drizzle in places. Temperatures around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius and winds light. Overnight it will be mostly cloudy across the UK with some heavy rain in places, windy across the south too. And that is how the weather is shaping up overnight into tomorrow morning.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Join us for Political Correction. We're here every Sunday to correct politics and put you, the people, back in charge.
We talk about all areas of the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland.
Our debate goes way beyond the Westminster Village. It's about the real country. It's about your opinion. So please, we want you to tell us what you think.
This is Political Correction.
Every Sunday morning from 10 a.m. here on GB News.
You're watching GB News live across the UK, the world, and our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We're here for you. Don't forget to join our community by hitting the subscribe button.
And download the GB News app so you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you. Email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
Hello, I'm Mercy Moroki, one half of the To The Point duo, bringing you this festive special of the highs, the lows and the laughs. It's been an interesting year, not least for the GB News team, who had the pleasure of launching a brand new national news station back in June. It's also been an interesting year for the rest of the country. The pandemic carried on, sadly. We had a messy pullout of Afghanistan after 2 decades in the country. And football nearly came home, but alas, it was not to be. Now, as many of us sit down and take part in family reunions over Christmas and the festive period, many of you will know how difficult it can be getting to know new people, trying to remember new names. Trust me, I know a thing or two about that. Many brave men and women have had the pleasure of sitting next to me in the GB News hot seat.
A very good morning. You're watching Brazier and Maroki on GB News.
Good morning. You're watching Brazier and Maroki on GB News. With me today, Alistair Stewart sitting in for Colin, and me, of course, Mercy Maroki.
And you're watching GB News with me, Tom Harwood.
And me, Mercy Maroki. Good morning. You're watching GB News with me, Mercy Maroki.
And me, Isabel Webster.
You're watching GB News with me, Mercy Maroki.
And me, Darren McCaffrey.
Morning, everyone. You're watching To The Point on GB News with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Maroki. And we're here all the way through until midday, as ever, with a show full of those biggest stories, lots of discussion on the issues that you care about.
Yes, make sure you get in touch with your views, gbviews@gbnews.uk. One of the perks of the job is getting to put the questions the public would want to ask directly to those in power. And we've certainly had our fair share of big interviews.
So what this means is, first of all, British business will have tariff-free access to the Australian market. So the tariffs will be removed on products like Scotch whisky, on cars. Currently we're exporting 10,000 cars from the northeast of England every year into Australia. The tariffs will be taken off those and all products going into Australia. It's going to make it easier for Brits to live and work in Australia. So whether those are in professional jobs or whether it's for the under 35s, they'll be able to go to Australia for 3 years without having to undertake the farm work requirement. And we've also got some very advanced provisions in areas like financial services, data and digital. The UK is the second biggest services exporter in the world. So that's also really important. But as well as being a great deal in itself, it's also an important stepping stone for the UK joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's a major trade area, 500 million people.
I think child marriage is child abuse. There should be no room for it.
It's a strong statement.
Yes, it is, because, and it's true. And I think with almost everyone I've talked to so far about this, both inside and outside of Parliament, it's something that resonates with them, that people get that. Because if you think about our legal system as it is, it already recognises that you don't become an adult until you reach the age of 18. And that is why the law protects children from taking certain decisions, especially ones that might have a huge impact on their future adult life. We don't let them, for example, even get tattoos until they're 18. They can't take out a loan.
We let them vote in Scotland.
Well, the Scottish Government lets them vote, and that's another issue. And by the way, I'm talking about England and Wales, where at least you need parental consent. But in Scotland, you don't even need parental consent to get married.
That's why people used to go to Gretna Green, wasn't it, to marry?
Well, people, that's right. But the reality is that people seem to think, when I first bring this up with so many people, they think, oh, this is actually something that's awful, and it's something that happens in developing countries. But actually, it's happening right here in our own country. I mean, this was a big problem for me, and now the numbers are some 10 times what they were back then. That's despite the Home Secretary doing everything she can. I think she's taken this incredibly seriously, is working, whether it's with her French counterparts, Border Force and other things, and she's working incredibly hard on this. But the fact that the numbers are so high shows you just how difficult a problem this is. And I would also say this, because I always think it's worth it not to conflate all asylum seekers with illegal immigration. There are legitimate reasons. If someone is genuinely fleeing from persecution from a country, and then we should be proud of the country that offers them safe harbour, and we have done that throughout history, recently with Somalia, with Syrian refugees, with others, where they're genuinely fleeing persecution. But the difference here is that if they're coming from France, they're coming from a safe country. They could have claimed asylum there if it was genuinely motivated by running away from persecution, and that's what makes a difference here. And that's why I think Priti has been right to take the toughest line possible. What more we can do, I'm not sure, as in I know Priti's looking at a number of options, but many of them depend on what our legal avenues are. But I know that the Home Secretary has been looking at this, and she's published recently a consultation about some further measures she'll be able to take.
This is invention. I think that we do not threat UK in no way. UK is a nuclear power, permanent member of the Security Council. It has a strong army, a strong maritime forces. So this is nonsense.
Well, Ambassador, I've got to tell you, I feel personally threatened. I feel personally threatened by Russia. 4 of my children go to school, have been, and 3 still go to school in Salisbury. And for a number of weeks, large parts of the town that they travelled to go to school were taped off with police tape because people had died because of poison that was left by Russian agents. I know you're about to deny that happened and that Russia had anything to do with it. I don't think we'll believe you, and nor will my children.
No, I can tell you only that if we will have and earlier some information about what has happened, we would appreciate it very much. We have made very many requests to British authorities, requesting information, requesting samples, requesting investigation, or cooperating with us on the investigating of this subject. Or at least we would like to know what is now going on. Where are Skripal's, where is his daughter? How do they feel? Because they are Russian citizens. But we didn't get any answer, absolutely no answer at all from any question.
But even if we gave you an answer, Mr. Ambassador, yeah. I was going to say, even if we gave you an answer, Mr. Ambassador, we saw when we gave you answers about the killing of Alexander Litvinenko that the person that we decided was responsible for his murder wasn't brought to justice in Russia.
This is you who decided that he's responsible. It is not us. So keep it to yourself if you like.
Okay. Well, we can't. I'm sure the British state would love to bring the person we feel was responsible for killing somebody on British soil to justice, but we're incapable of doing that. Can we just talk a little bit? We've talked about what happened in the waters off the Crimea. Can we talk about what happens in the airspace over the Shetlands, or indeed even in the English Channel, when the sorts of things that you're now accusing the Royal Navy of doing, of going aggressively into territorial waters or airspace, is done by Russian jets or by Russian warships? And why you feel it's necessary to test our military? We have to scramble Typhoon jets when your jets enter our airspace. We have to shadow your aircraft carrier or cruisers when they're in the English Channel. It just feels to some people, including people of my generation who grew up with the shadow of the nuclear mushroom cloud, and we thought we'd moved on from that, but we haven't. It just feels like we're back in the dark days of the Cold War.
Here we should make really must and should make a division. What has been done by your ships near Crimea, that was a pure provocation. They were just trying to challenge our guards and our ships, those who are guarding the territories. The ships of Russian Navy, there is a passage not through your territorial waters at all. They even do not approach. They are going through the open sea in accordance with all provisions of maritime laws and maritime convention. There is a provision also in the Maritime Convention when you are going through territorial waters with innocent passage, you should notify authorities. That has not been done by British ships. What you are asking is, of course, we have our ships and our aircraft in the air, probably close to Britain, but they never, believe me, never are violating territorial waters of the United States.
Look, I don't say that our migration system is perfect, but I do think that any system which depends upon the people coming in legally having a job from day one at market wages plus is a good system, because where people can come to our country, join Team Australia or Team Great Britain, whichever it might be, and contribute from day one, that is what we want. And that has been one of the great strengths of both our countries, that people can come to Britain, they can come to Australia, make a new home there, and be first-class Australians, first-class Britons very, very quickly. Look, on illegal migration by boat, this is a dreadful, dreadful problem. It's a deadly problem, as you're finding, as we found. And frankly, no one who comes illegally by boat should be allowed to stay, because if they are allowed to stay, it provides the people smugglers with a product to sell. And if they've got a product to sell, away they'll go. Now, I know people are keen to get to countries like Britain and Australia. They're very desirable places to live. But if you lose control of your borders, migration generally becomes a huge problem. And the only way there's going to be popular support for legal migration is if illegal migration is kept very, very rigorously under control. The point is, if you come the wrong way, you must not be allowed to stay. The British government needs to say to the people smugglers very firmly, the way is closed. It's not as if they're leaving an unsafe country in France. Anyone who leaves France illegally needs to go back pronto.
Thank you very much, Mark. What's the latest, please?
Well, Lord Justice Fulford has just handed down this whole life tariff to Wayne Couzens. He will never see the light of day again. He will be taken off to prison to spend the rest of his life behind bars. This is the verdict or the sentence that the family of Sarah Everard and indeed the prosecution had been calling for, just because of the horrific nature of this crime. The fact that Wayne Couzens didn't just kidnap, rape and murder a woman from the street, which is a horrific enough offence, but he used his authority, his office as a police officer, to coerce this woman, to trick this woman into believing that she had somehow broken COVID regulations. He wasn't on duty on the day that he arrested Sarah Everard on the street. She'd been at dinner with friends in South London, had walked through Clapham Common and was heading home towards Brixton that evening when she was stopped in the street by Wayne Couzens. He was dressed in plain clothes, but did have a Metropolitan Police issue belt with handcuffs and other items on it. He flashed his identity at this young woman, his warrant card. Well, it is again another very significant day of migrant activity out in the English Channel. What we're told is that so far at least 14 small boats have been intercepted. Each of these boats, we're told, holding about 40 to 50 migrants. We are expecting any second now here at Dover Harbour another lifeboat, the Dover lifeboat this time, to come in. We're told it is absolutely full to the gunwales with migrants that they've picked up in a number of incidents out there in the Channel. What I'm going to do is just step to the side and allow Jeremy, our cameraman, to concentrate fully on this shot that you see now as the lifeboat rounds the corner here into Dover Harbour, and you can see, well, I said it was packed out, absolutely is. Just that's the bow of the vessel there, full of migrants with some border force or lifeboat crew, I should say, and then I think towards the stern of this lifeboat, more migrants on it as well. We have had now, this is our third day of very significant activity involving these small boats crossing the Channel, and the reason is that we have had a break in the weather. It's been relatively calm. I say relatively calm, it's never ideal conditions out in the Channel, but it is just calm enough for them to be able to make it, and there are thousands waiting to get over. I'm just going to pause for a second as we see this lifeboat pass us now. And you can see they're waving from a number of those on board. And as I say, look at the stern of this vessel, the Dover lifeboat as well. Again, full of migrants waving at us as they have made what they wanted to do, which was to get from France to the UK.
Someone like Ricky Gervais in this country, he says whatever he wants and he doesn't care about because he can't be cancelled.
I still think that even he toes the line a little bit. I usually he thinks about it. I mean, I do think he considers it. You have to, because the weird thing is, like for me, like what I feel about what's happening right now. I mean, I feel like I could talk about it on stage because I'm established, but I also think like, if you're partners with the biggest streaming service in the world, and then if you also, you're doing a commercial for this international company, and so you have to think, what, how much do I really want to rock the boat? So I do think that sometimes I think people forget that this is supposed to be an irritant. You are supposed to, as a comedian, you're supposed to be controversial. You're supposed to take the other side. You're supposed to get the audience to question their foundational thinking.
That ability to look away and let things be is a sign of maturity. And behind closed doors, and this is what the racism of law expectations is about, is with those Muslims, they're just not there yet. That's really what it boils down to.
That's a really interesting point as far as is it this expectation that Muslims are likely to react violently if they're upset? That's a very patronising
because the Christians used to do that in the past. They're over it now.
Right.
They're old enough, they're mature enough, they're adults. The assumption is if you're a Muslim, a drawing of the Prophet Muhammad, whether it's flattering or not, is going to offend you. Can you look away?
Well, it's not necessarily true that all Muslims would be offended.
Well, first of all, it's not true.
Yeah.
That's again why I think it's a form of racism, and it's a form of, in itself, if you want to pursue the notion of Islamophobia, it is actually a form of phobia.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. Over a drink, we have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
To the point, we love bringing you the news, but we also love bringing our opinions on the news. And something I'm personally very passionate about is the criminal justice system in this country. And I've spoken a lot about this. Let's take a look. Now, over the weekend, a police officer was slashed while he was attending a stabbing in North London, just another in the ever-growing list of knife crime on British streets. London is, yet again, set to have a record-breaking year in terms of knife crime. Last year was a record breaker, as was the year before. The problem is getting worse. So what are the stats on knife crime? Well, since 2010, the number of violent and sexual crimes that involved a knife have gone up by more than 50%. The number of threats to kill using knives have more than tripled. And this isn't just an inner city London problem. Surrey, for God's sake, crowned as the poshest home county in England, has seen a nearly 600% increase in offences involving sharp instruments over the last 10 years. And let me say what we're all thinking. There's one group in society that is most involved in knife crime from both sides. Nearly half of all murder victims in the capital have been black. That's despite black people making up only 13% of London. And on the other side, nearly half of people charged with knife crimes are black. Often these are young black men running around in broad daylight, acting tough with their blades. I've seen the videos, you've seen the videos. I'm not saying knife crime is a black problem, of course it's not. White people stab too, let's just be clear. But when young black men are 3 times more likely to be murdered than any other group, to ignore the race aspect is completely irresponsible. And you'd think the groups which claim to care so much about black lives would be all over the issue like a rash. But Black Lives Matter, the self-appointed spokespeople for black people globally, although not for me, I have to say, are too busy defacing statues and trying to cancel 18th century white men from textbooks to actually address the real issues affecting black people. You know, like being much more likely to literally get stabbed in the street by another black person. What would actually make me respect Black Lives Matter, the socialist activist group, which people like to pretend is not a socialist activist group, is if they actually, for once, tackled head-on the real issues facing black communities. Of course, I'll inevitably be slated for this, mainly by those on the left who will say I'm playing into tropes about so-called black-on-black crime. Well, so be it. I won't cower from saying that when knife crime is on the rise, it means the blood of more black kids is on the streets and more black kids will end up in jail. And quite frankly, if you're uncomfortable with pointing out that knife crime is disproportionately a black issue, then clearly black lives don't really matter to you. Many people will be waking up this morning to the harrowing detail revealed in the sentence hearing of ex-Met Police officer Wayne Couzens, who kidnapped, raped and murdered Sarah Everard in March of this year. It's been reported that Couzens could be handed a whole life order, meaning he would die behind bars. That life would truly mean life, which I believe is exactly what he deserves. But life doesn't mean life for the overwhelming majority of those who are handed this sentence for the worst of crimes. There are currently only around 60 criminals in the UK serving whole life orders. That's 1% of those who our justice systems say have committed crimes so heinous they deserve to spend decades behind bars. The other 99%, murderers, violent criminals, the worst among us in society, will one day be free. I believe this is unacceptable. There are too many people who will one day be free who don't ever deserve to be. Rapists and murderers, child killers, paedophiles. Anyone who has ever listened to me opine on our justice system will know that I think there's an overwhelming moral case for certain kinds of criminals to never be let out. I want to see whole life orders for child rapists and violent murderers normalised, but our justice system is incredibly queasy in handing down this tariff. Many people argue against it on cost grounds, that we already pay too much to keep prisoners in prison. There's much truth to this. The average cost to the taxpayer of holding one prisoner for a year is around £44,000, around £120 a day. In total, the overall expenditure on prisons sits at £3.5 billion, a number that is spiralling. Keeping the most serious offenders locked up is even more, reportedly nearly double that cost. In fact, the price we pay for keeping prisoners behind bars is reported to be higher per capita than any EU country, and even America, which houses 1 in 4 of the world's prison population. Now, there are so many questions to be asked about our justice system, issues about resources spent on low-level crime, issues about inadequate rehabilitation of those who only deserve limited sentences. There's issues about race disparities, about overcrowding, issues about drugs and gang violence within prison walls. But the question has to be asked, if the moral case for keeping more prisoners locked up behind bars until death is strong, if we as a society think it's pressing that this change happens and happens fast, are we, the public, willing to stomach the cost? My personal response is yes. I'm ideologically averse to higher and higher taxes as a solution to all of society's problems. But would I be willing to pay more taxes to ensure the worst among us never get a chance to roam the streets again? Yes, I absolutely would. Whilst many politicians are known for trying to be as diplomatic, or as vanilla, as possible, our other guests were not afraid to show their fiery side.
These are nothing but holy hypocrites, abusing these boys between the age of 10 and 13. These guys are paedophiles. Those that are alive should be now incarcerated, because some of them may well be, maybe not. But I mean, you can't just look back and say, oh, this is history. It will still be going on now. I mean, how many more countries do we have to see this with the Catholic Church? We've had Germany, we've had South America, we've had Ireland, we've had England, we've had Australia, and now we've had France. There will be Italy, there will be Spain, there will be Portugal. It will all be there as well. And for the Pope to say, I mean, honest to God, I was absolutely enraged. For the Pope to say he feels pain, why isn't he angry? What is he actually planning to do? Now this guy, Francois Defoe, has come out and supported the victims, and he's like made this recognising the victims that are part of the church's responsibility. This is something that the bishops and the Pope, they're not prepared to do. So what is his first thoughts? This is the Pope. His first thoughts are for the victims. Well, fine. What is he actually planning to do with the perpetrators that are on his watch? What is he planning to do?
Listen, the only thing I don't mince is my words. And unfortunately, a lot of people these days do mince their words, don't they? Shall we start with some statistics for the viewers?
Yes,
right?
grounders in
so
fact.
Here you go. I've done some research this morning. This is startling figures, seriously. Number of obese kids needing NHS urgent treatment has doubled in 5 years. Oversized kids potentially at risk of sleep apnea, it can be fatal. That's doubled in 5 years. 271% rise in stomach reflux cases linked to being overweight in kids.
Great.
And diabetes is up 259%. So are these fat camps a good idea? Well, the first thing to say is I am amazed you've not been inundated with people saying, oh, this is fat shaming. My goodness, you know. But of course
it's the wrong news channel for that kind of interaction.
Yes. I think that's you're confusing us with the Beeb. But I actually did a monologue on this about, I don't know, 40 minutes ago or something. And I said, look, first of all, let's blame the parents perhaps a little bit more. Let's stop shifting the blame away from parents and onto the state, because we seem to want to just say, oh, well...
Listen, can I just say this to you? This is why I absolutely love you. Because you are one of the very few people on the telly that say it as it is. Are parents the number one culprits? Absolutely true. They are the role models. And all of this claptrap that, it's too expensive to eat healthily. No, it's not. And in fact, there is a study out there that shows it's cheaper to eat healthily. I think that what we've got are too many parents suffering with can't be bothered-itis. And actually what we need in this country is something much more direct that actually says things such as, if your child is too fat, they are on death row, sort it out. Yeah?
Can I just ask you, if those final results, whenever they're due to come out, do say he did have tuberculosis, I know that's something you strongly dispute, but will you accept that?
No, I'd accept it no more than a flying pig. If it comes back positive, that's because the results have been faked, and I'm afraid DEFRA have been faking TV science. They've been faking the financial records. They've been passing £100 million of my money to various people who are doing very well out of it. Thank you very much.
Some people listen to you, particularly people who have been involved in the energy sector, and say we've decarbonised faster than any major economy. Renewable power has increased sixfold over a 10-year period. We've decarbonised faster than any rich country on this planet. We're 1% of global emissions. We already have a legally binding target to cut to go net zero by 2050. We're banning new petrol and diesels by 2035. We're doing so much. So why are you taking such drastic action when the UK is already doing so much more than other nations?
Yeah, so I just want to tick the list of questions. You've asked me about disruption. Now it's we're already doing enough. I expect you're going to call me a terrorist and save hypocrite for the last. Is that right?
No, I just want you to answer my question.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Why the UK is already decarbonising?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like it's getting pretty boring because you just ask the same questions all the time. And what you should be asking is why the government.
Well, I'm bored of you. So can we just cut him off, because I'm actually bored of him now. So he won't answer my question, and I'm pretty bored of him. Well, I guess I can be quite fiery as well. We're very proud of the coverage we've brought to you throughout the year of some of the big important stories of the day. If it matters to you, then it matters to us. And if you're thinking it, we're not afraid to say it. But we're also not afraid to have a bit of fun.
OK, Tom, just stay with us for a quick second, because I've been asked quite a few times, those what look like flowers behind you, are they real or plastic?
Do you know what? I'm not actually sure. They do look a little bit plastic. If you will bear with me, Patrick, if you will bear with me, I can unplug myself and go and feel...
Yes,
I can go and
feel a flower.
The COP26 for you, and I'll run right back and tell you exactly.
Do you cop a feel of a flower, Tom, while we fill? And it's very interesting, very fascinating. There we go.
You can still hear me, but I can't hear you. So I'm running over here to have a look at these. Oh gosh, it's really hard to know. I think they might be. They might be real. I think they are real. Yes, they are real. There's soil in there. There's soil in there, and these are sort of rubbery, actual, real plants. There you go. Not plastic. Who would have thought it? I certainly wouldn't have thought it. I'll plug back in so that I can hear you.
Fantastic stuff, Tom. There you go. You love to see it. Tom Harwood, roving reporter.
Good stuff.
Roving reporter at COP26. What a hero. Now, McDonald's is launching a new McPlant burger in 250 UK restaurants today. The fast food chain, which is, of course, famous for its greasy burgers, beautiful burgers, lovely, but lukewarm chicken nuggets as well, apparently, is now claiming to be caring for us and caring to the planet by adding a new vegan burger to its menu. So the McPlant consists of a Beyond Meat patty made of pea and rice mince, so vegan cheese as well, and all the usual soggy salad fixtures as well. So the chain assures us that it tastes just like the real thing. So we thought we'd put that to the test, ladies and gentlemen. Did. So firstly, I have a normal Big Mac here, so I thought I'd just, you know, get stuck in, really, if I may. So,
I'm not sure.
You'd love to see it. Well, that's beautiful. It's succulent. It's a glorious combination, really, isn't it, of gherkin, cheese, lettuce, meat, bread. It's been brought together in a way that, you know, few other things ever have. And then we've got.
Ready? I'm ready to do this.
This is the vegan offering.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, well, that's a bit like cardboard. I mean, that is like someone has painted over the Sistine Chapel. Right? That is absolutely horrendous. Like someone's punched the Mona Lisa in the face. Why on earth would they do that? Could cow poo be a solution to the UK's renewable energy crisis? The farmers at Arla Group certainly think so. They say almost 1.2 million tonnes of cow slurry are available in the UK each year from their farms alone, and that the waste shouldn't go to waste.
Yes, they claim they can repurpose the poo into green energy that could potentially power up to 4% of the UK's households. They've even developed cow batteries, and we really do mean that. I think we can show you those. Cow batteries. These are batteries, rechargeable batteries, actually.
There you are. The world gets to now see that I bite my nails.
Rechargeable AA batteries there, which are powered by cow poo, believe it or not, and actually just look very impressive. A very cute design. So, yeah, a story we could particularly believe this morning. But joining us now from Copenhagen is Graham Wilkinson, the Group Agriculture Director at Arla, who is exactly the sort of person who can tell us all about this. So, I mean, first of all, obviously it does all sound like a bit of a joke, but it's actually quite a sophisticated technology, isn't it? Tell us how it all works.
Well, thank you for inviting me on it. It sounds a bit gimmicky, but it is actually a very serious opportunity that we're actually very excited about. If you take Britain, we've got an ambition to be 100% renewable energy by 2035, and we currently stand at 40% of energy coming from renewable sources. So we would like to call on government and industry to look at the breadth of the renewable energy mix that we look into to be able to power Britain's homes.
Oh, Patrick, have you actually tried pressing the on button? Oh, so it's working now. Okay, great. Well, I have to go. One of the perks of my job is working with my co-host, Patrick Christys. In fact, we have so much fun, you might have caught us off guard having a little giggle. The man is quite the character.
People of Britain, I have a message for you. The next time that your other half tells you that you're spending too much time at the pub, politely inform them that you're doing your civic duty. You're keeping the cogs of this country grinding, the wheels turning. You are a hero. You are a national treasure. You owe it to yourselves, your ancestors, and all of those who will come after you to go down to the Nag's Head and drink the place dry. When I think of Britain, ladies and gentlemen, I think of the White Cliffs of Dover. I think of 1966. I think of red buses. I think of rolling, beautiful countryside. I think of our dear Queen, but much, much more than that. I think of the local pub and all who gather within her. Britain, do your duty. Go to the pub. Cheers.
As you can see, we don't always take ourselves too seriously here at GB News. But one thing we do take very seriously is our love of this great nation, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, from Queen to culture, to my personal favourite, pork pies. But most of all, what we love most is the great British people. You at home who have kept us company over the last 6 months and kept us going. We hope you enjoy your time in this festive period with your loved ones. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.